Good evening and welcome to NDTV's YouTube channel. What we're going to do now is take a look at some of the big stories which we've been tracking today. Now, as you would know if you do watch NDTV, that for the last several weeks we've been focusing extensively on the air pollution situation across Delhi and large parts of North India. A great deal of this has to do with stubble burning in Punjab, the burning of agricultural residue in Punjab and Haryana. The Supreme Court has been extremely critical of this and have said that both the Haryana and the Punjab governments have simply not done enough. Now, this isn't remotely to suggest that other governments, the Delhi government, the governments in Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Punjab don't have other sources of pollution. They most certainly do. But I think the impact of stubble burning is a cause of serious concern. It's been recognized in the Supreme Court. What happened today is perhaps an indicator of why today, this year, 2019, after so many years, we still continue to breathe in essentially poison air. There was a high-level meeting called in Delhi by a parliamentary panel. There were 29 MPs on the list. They were supposed to meet to discuss the pollution situation. Only 4 of the 29 turned up. Now, if this isn't an indicator of callousness, if this isn't an indicator of I couldn't really care, then what is? Because the statistical link between fatalities and air pollution is now absolutely clear. That wasn't so earlier on, but now the World Health Organization and other organizations have actually come out with these numbers, where they've said quite clearly that while in the past it wasn't possible to actually explain how a person, the actual cause of a death, because a person would die because of a heart attack or a failure of a particular organ, it's now statistically possible to link heart ailments, for example, or cancers, for example, to air pollution directly. And the numbers are truly staggering. Millions of cases every year of premature deaths which take place, many in our country. So to be in a situation in the national capital where only 4 out of 29 MPs turn up is something which is disappointing. Now, the cricketer turned politician Gautam Gambhir was the only MP on that list. He was away for cricket commentary duties. He said that he'd signed on to that earlier on, but he wasn't there in the meeting. But his priorities perhaps are split now between cricket and being an MP, though he did send a press note saying that he's taken lots of steps as well. Now, the Environment Minister says that he's taken note of this. The Speaker of the Lok Sabha is likely to take up this issue as well. What's also of great concern is that there were key officials also who never landed up. So the Environment Secretary wasn't there, the Forest Secretary wasn't there, the Secretary dealing with climate change wasn't there, the representative of the Delhi Development Authority wasn't there, and 3 chiefs of the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, they weren't there either. So that represents a clear idea of how an intent lacks, and something that should really concern all of us. Today, the air pollution levels in North India and in Delhi particularly, it really, there was a foul odor in the air. It stank. At about 7:30 this morning, I recall going out, getting my newspapers from my veranda, and it wasn't polluted air, it was smoke over there, and it smelled horrible, an acrid burning smell. It's all around. Air pollution numbers this morning where I live in Delhi were at 570 odd at about 9 a.m. or shortly thereafter on the PM 2.5 count. PM 2.5, remember, is what hurts us the most. It's the smallest measurable, usually measurable component or particle which actually infiltrates your bloodstream through your lungs and then can cause all sorts of ailments, cancers, and so many other things. So that's one of the stories that we are tracking today. The other story is about an incident involving a GoAir airliner. This took place on Monday. Now, the Indian skies are busy, they are hectic. Air travel has gone up dramatically. The number of new airliners in the skies has seen an incredible rise. And therefore, in a situation as densely packed as it is over our airspace presently, there is always the concern that safety standards, training standards, maintenance standards, all of this needs to be maintained and kept at the very, very highest levels. Well, on Monday there was an incident when there was a GoAir aircraft from Nagpur onto Bangalore, which veered off the runway upon landing in poor weather. I'm going to play out that video sent in to us by someone who's actually on that plane. It sort of, before touching down, veered off the runway, touched down on the grass on the side of the runway, and then the pilot went to full power, or to takeoff power, went down the grass strip. It's a violent thing which you will see, took off, and shortly thereafter one of the engines of the jet, most likely this engine, the left engine, stalled. And then he continued to climb out. Remember, these aircraft can fly on one engine, but the engine stalled again. There were 180 passengers on board, and the plane did finally land in a diversionary airport, which was Hyderabad. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation has suspended the pilots. They have asked the airline to explain what happened. The airline did report this incident as well. But I think this video actually gives you an example, or tells you clearly what this is all about. This is the moment when the jetliner, an A320neo, I believe, so a very new aircraft, came into land. And that was violent, as the left main undercarriage made contact before the pilot was able to climb back up, and then that engine is the one, most likely that's the engine that actually stalled. So that's a pretty scary thing to take place, and you can see that again over here. It's veering off the runway now without touching down, in a sense moving sideways, and then bang. Can you imagine a jetliner landing on grass and mud? Fortunately, there was enough speed over there for the pilot to pull up. These aircraft are also built robustly, so the undercarriage was strong enough to actually take that. But the Director General of Civil Aviation did mention, and there are pictures out as well, showing mud on that main undercarriage, and the entire strip, as it were, where the aircraft was on that grassy area, was quite visible in other pictures. So it is an air safety concern being investigated, but I think it's a fair call to say that this was a close call for all those on board that aircraft.